I remember the day it finally clicked for me. I was 72, and up until that morning, I could count on one hand how many times I'd bothered with breakfast in the last month. My reasoning sounded logical. I'm not that hungry first thing in the morning. Or, I don't have the time or energy to fuss in the kitchen. There was always an excuse to skip it. But then I started noticing patterns that were too obvious to ignore. By mid-morning, I'd feel a wave of fatigue so strong it interrupted my entire day. I was snapping at friends on the phone, barely had motivation to complete simple chores, and sometimes even felt lightheaded as I shuffled around the house. It dawned on me that perhaps this deeply ingrained habit of skipping breakfast was robbing me of the energy I needed to enjoy my day. As an older adult, one of our biggest hurdles is finding sustainable energy for the activities that matter to us. Whether that's volunteering, playing with grandchildren, gardening, or simply maintaining independence with everyday tasks. And while we all know the basics of eating well, the unique nutritional needs we have in our later years can make a big difference in how we feel day to day. Breakfast is a perfect example of a small change that can set the tone for everything else. Yet many of us underestimate its power. We might think we'll save time or calories by skipping it, or that having a cup of coffee is enough to fuel the morning. But as I discovered the hard way, that notion can hold us back from enjoying steady vitality throughout the day. Why does it matter so much? When you're in your 60s, 70s, or beyond, your body has different demands. Over the years, many seniors experience changes in appetite, digestion, and nutrient absorption. On top of that, we might be juggling multiple medications, each with its own schedule. Missing a well-rounded breakfast can mean missing key nutrients, risking blood sugar imbalances, or inadvertently complicating how our medications work. More importantly, low energy levels can dampen the simplest joys, such as taking a leisurely walk or connecting with loved ones, because we just don't feel up to it. Addressing breakfast is one of those foundational steps that can lead to a ripple effect across the rest of the day. It took a wake-up call for me to recognize that the quick tiredness and brain fog I battled every morning were not an inevitable part of growing older. Once I started making breakfast a daily ritual, I noticed a remarkable shift. More stable moods, fewer mid-morning slumps, and, quite simply, a feeling of being grounded. My confidence improved too, because I felt more in control of my day instead of being hijacked by waves of fatigue. That was transformative. I'm eager to share these insights because so many of us automatically accept low energy as our new normal when there are practical, easy steps that can genuinely help. Today, I'll walk you through 4 core lessons I've learned and continue to practice about why breakfast matters for sustained energy. By the end, I hope you'll feel empowered to decide how these ideas can fit into your life. We're not aiming for perfection or rigid rules. We're focusing on approachable strategies that bring out your best. If you stay with me through these next few minutes, you'll gain practical steps to support not just your physical well-being, but also your sense of independence and joy in everyday activities. And while I'm not a doctor, I've spent years learning from dietitians, wellness coaches, and my own trial and error. My intention is to offer tried and true insights that can help you thrive at any age. Before we jump in, I invite you to think about your morning routine. Are you someone who leaps out of bed ready to seize the day, or do you find yourself dragging a bit? Maybe you're used to skipping breakfast, or maybe you eat it every day but aren't sure if it's helping. Take a moment to reflect on where you are right now, because that will help you see which ideas might be most useful for you. Let's dive in with an open mind. You might discover something you never realized about how a simple breakfast can make a profound difference in how you feel by noon and beyond. The first misconception many of us have is believing that skipping breakfast is a time saver or a minor habit that doesn't affect overall health. For decades, I thought the same way. I'm busy, I'm tired, and breakfast is just another chore. But then I noticed a recurring pattern in how I felt on the days I skipped it. Fuzzy-headed, irritable, and prone to reaching for unhealthier snacks by mid-afternoon. Let me share a story of someone who experienced a similar realization. Carolyn, 74, lived alone and prided herself on staying independent. She relied on strong coffee every morning, convinced that a muffin or a piece of fruit just wasn't necessary. Yet she frequently found herself napping as early as 10 a.m., feeling a level of fatigue she assumed was just a natural part of aging. Eventually, Carolyn had a conversation with her daughter, who pointed out that Carolyn's morning exhaustion was causing her to cancel social outings more often. Carolyn realized that skipping breakfast might be contributing to her energy dips. She decided to experiment for 1 week, adding something simple, like a small bowl of oatmeal with walnuts and berries, to her morning coffee routine. Within days, she reported feeling less hungry in the late morning and found that she had a steadier level of energy for errands and phone calls. This was no miracle fix, but it was a noticeable improvement. The new perspective here is to recognize breakfast not as a chore, but as an early investment in your day's energy bank account. Research suggests that a balanced morning meal can stabilize blood sugar levels, which is particularly relevant for older adults who may experience fluctuations more acutely. When blood sugar dips too low, it doesn't just make you feel hungry, it can cause fatigue, mood swings, and even dizziness, all of which can be risky when you're trying to stay active and safe at home. So what can you do about it? Start small. Think of breakfast as a gentle wake-up call for your body's metabolism. If you're not used to eating right away, ease into it. Maybe begin with a piece of whole grain toast and an egg, or half a cup of Greek yogurt with sliced strawberries. The goal is to include protein, a healthy carbohydrate, and maybe some good fats to keep you full. Protein is critical because our muscles and tissues need more attention as we get older, and we don't always get enough protein later in the day. Carbohydrates like oatmeal or whole wheat can supply steady energy, while healthy fats, like those in avocados or nuts, help you feel satisfied. Even a simple smoothie made with spinach, a small handful of berries, and a little protein powder can do wonders. Beyond the physical benefits, there's an emotional boost too. When we make breakfast a priority, we're sending ourselves a message. I'm worth a bit of time and care. This small act of self-nurturing can cascade into better choices throughout the day, like opting for a nutritious lunch, staying hydrated, or finding the motivation to take a stroll. We reinforce our sense of self-efficacy, reminding ourselves that we have control over how we start our day. Now, if you're listening to all this and thinking, well, that's nice, but I've gotten by this long without breakfast, I hear you. That's exactly what I used to say. But I encourage you to see this as a gentle experiment. You might discover that your body responds more positively than you expect. Give it a try, even if it's just a few days a week. And if you're concerned about medication timings or specific dietary restrictions, talk to a healthcare provider about how you can adapt your morning meal accordingly. It's all about creating a supportive environment for your energy needs without overwhelming yourself. Take a moment now to think about what you'd be willing to try tomorrow morning. Could it be a small portion of yogurt with a handful of blueberries? Or maybe a simple piece of whole grain toast with peanut butter? Jot it down or say it out loud. Sometimes making a simple commitment can help you feel more excited to follow through. Moving on to the second idea. Many seniors believe that if they feel tired by lunchtime, it's just getting older. But what if at least part of that tiredness stems from underfueling in the morning? Consider how you might manage a vehicle on a long road trip. Would you drive until the tank is bone dry before refueling? Probably not. You'd make stops along the way to ensure you never run on fumes. Our bodies are no different, especially when we reach our 70s and beyond. The demands on our energy reserves don't vanish. In many ways, they increase. For instance, if you have certain health conditions or take multiple prescriptions, your body is constantly working to maintain balance. I recall meeting Herman, 77, who had always shrugged off breakfast because he felt his morning cup of black coffee was enough to get going. But as he got older, he noticed a troubling pattern. By early afternoon, he felt completely drained and would often nod off. His daily walk, something he enjoyed for years, began to feel too strenuous. He chalked it up to aging, but a nutrition workshop at his local senior center made him rethink this belief. The workshop speaker explained that older adults may need consistent, balanced energy sources throughout the day because our metabolic processes can slow down and our bodies may not store nutrients as efficiently. Herman decided to try having a small portion of cottage cheese with tomatoes and a piece of whole grain toast in the morning. Within a few weeks, he noticed his energy slump wasn't hitting him as early, and he started feeling more optimistic about his walks. It's not that his walks suddenly became easy, but he no longer had that feeling of dragging through mud. This small adjustment seemed to support his overall stamina. The underpinning evidence points to the importance of regular, balanced meals to maintain energy, especially for older adults. Vitamins and minerals are crucial here too. When you skip breakfast, you might be missing out on essential nutrients like calcium, vitamin D, or fiber that support bone health, digestion, and immune function. Over time, these small deficits can add up, contributing to fatigue or other concerns such as constipation or weaker bone density. Here's a practical step. If time or motivation in the morning is a problem, prepare part of your breakfast the night before. For example, you could make overnight oats by mixing rolled oats, milk, or a dairy-free alternative, some fruit, and maybe a sprinkle of cinnamon in a jar. By morning, it's ready to eat. No cooking required. This trick can be especially handy if you live alone and want to save time while still giving your body the nourishment it needs. And let's not forget the emotional angle. When you're not running on empty by noon, you have more mental clarity to engage in your hobbies, talk to friends, and handle any surprises that come your way. It's disheartening to miss out on life's little pleasures just because your energy tank is low. So, see breakfast as a tool that helps keep your mental and emotional reserves full too. By the way, I'd love to know if you have a favorite quick breakfast idea or if there's something you've been wanting to try. Feel free to share your thoughts or experiences with someone close to you. Sometimes just speaking your intention out loud can spark a real change. Now let's challenge a third assumption, the belief that breakfast must be a big, heavy meal or it won't count. Because of this assumption, some seniors skip breakfast entirely, thinking it's easier than tackling a grand spread of eggs, bacon, pancakes, and more. But the truth is, breakfast can be as light and simple, or as hearty and elaborate as you want it to be. What really matters is the quality of the foods you choose and how they fit into your overall routine. I'm reminded of Yolanda, a 69-year-old grandmother who recently moved in with her daughter. Yolanda was used to cooking large breakfasts for her husband when their kids were younger. After her husband passed and her children grew up, she lost the motivation to cook elaborate meals just for herself. "What's the point?" she'd say. So she decided to skip breakfast entirely. Over time, she noticed her mood deteriorated in the mornings, and she felt aimless until lunchtime. During a family gathering, her daughter suggested they shop for easy-to-prepare breakfast items that wouldn't overwhelm Yolanda. They picked up single-serving Greek yogurts, whole-grain English muffins, low-sugar granola, and some fresh fruit. Yolanda discovered she could put together a balanced morning plate in under 5 minutes. To her surprise, this new routine gave her day more structure, and she found herself smiling more in the mornings, even calling old friends just to chat over a cup of tea. This reflects a powerful shift. Breakfast doesn't have to be complicated or huge to make a difference. We need to break free from the notion that if it's not a full table spread, it's not worth doing. Especially in our senior years, many of us deal with smaller appetites, and that's okay. There's flexibility in what we consume. Even half a banana with a spoonful of peanut butter and a cup of decaffeinated tea can be a game changer, so long as it gives your body a gentle wake-up call of nutrients. On the nutritional front, consider leaning into foods that offer both protein and fiber. Protein is crucial for muscle maintenance, which directly ties into physical independence. After all, strong muscles help us get up from chairs, navigate stairs, and maintain balance. Fiber supports digestion and heart health, which become increasingly important as we age. Adding a few walnuts or flax seeds can introduce healthy fats that support overall brain health and reduce inflammation. On the emotional side, preparing a small meal for yourself every morning can become a moment of mindfulness and routine. It's a small gift you can give yourself, a reminder that you matter and that you deserve proper care, no matter your age or living situation. Many seniors find that incorporating an easy morning meal helps anchor their day, giving them a sense of structure and accomplishment before other responsibilities arise. If you're unsure about what light and quick breakfast might look like, try this idea: a slice of whole grain toast with mashed avocado, topped with a sprinkle of salt and pepper. Add a side of fruit, perhaps a sliced orange or a handful of berries. Pair it with a cup of herbal tea, and that's it. It's bright, it's refreshing, and it won't leave you feeling weighed down. Let's take a brief pause. we've discussed misconceptions around skipping breakfast, fueling energy, and the belief that breakfast must be big and fancy. Which of these ideas resonates most with you so far? Is there a simple adjustment you could make tomorrow? Sometimes it's the smallest step that ignites the biggest change. The fourth idea I want to share addresses a lesser-known benefit of breakfast. It can be a source of emotional connection and social bonding, even if you live alone. In our 60s, 70s, and 80s, isolation can creep in, especially if we've lost a spouse or if our children live far away. We might not consider breakfast as a tool for combating loneliness, but it can be. I once visited a senior community center where they hosted a breakfast club twice a week. Residents would gather in the common area to share a simple meal, perhaps oatmeal, fruit, and coffee. It wasn't extravagant, yet you could see the camaraderie bloom among them, exchanging laughter and updates on each other's lives. For many, it became the highlight of their week. One of the regulars, Gerald 80, told me he almost never ate breakfast at home, but for the sake of friendship, he was more than happy to partake. Before long, he found himself feeling more upbeat throughout the day, which he attributed partly to the social boost he got in the morning. Of course, not everyone has a community center or family members nearby. But there are still ways to make breakfast a social experience. You could schedule a phone call or video chat with a friend while you both enjoy your morning meal, or join an online group of seniors where people share recipes and breakfast ideas. Even setting the table for yourself, perhaps with a placemat you love, can elevate the meal to something more special than just fueling the body. Humans are social creatures, and the way we eat can reflect that need for connection, even in small symbolic ways. On the physical side, sharing breakfast can sometimes encourage healthier habits. If you're around others who also want to improve their energy and overall wellness, you might find it easier to stay committed. Positive peer pressure can be a wonderful force. Emotionally, a shared meal, whether in person or virtually, reminds you that you're part of a larger community. This sense of belonging can significantly bolster mental health, reducing feelings of isolation and depression. If you can't physically share a meal, another approach could be to keep a breakfast journal and swap notes with a friend or a relative who's interested in doing the same. It becomes a mini support system. Think of breakfast as more than just food. It can be an anchor point in your day that offers both nourishment and the comforting sense that you're not alone on this journey. At this point, you might be wondering how all of these pieces fit together to transform your energy levels and overall well-being. But just imagine, you wake up, perhaps do a bit of gentle stretching, or simply sit up in bed, reflect on what you're grateful for, and then head to the kitchen. You prepare a simple meal. Maybe it's something you set out the night before. As you take your first bite, you realize you're giving yourself a small dose of care right away. The rest of your day might flow more smoothly. You're not crashing midway through. You're not struggling as much with irritability or sugar cravings. And maybe you even join a neighbor for a walk you once skipped. These are the tangible outcomes that can come from making breakfast a non-negotiable part of your morning routine. It's true, breakfast won't solve every issue. Aging brings various challenges and many require medical guidance. But it's fascinating how addressing just one underestimated habit, like skipping breakfast, can alleviate or reduce the severity of some of those challenges. It's about taking manageable steps in the right direction, and once you see a bit of progress, you gain momentum to tackle other aspects of your health and lifestyle. Let's bring it all together, because I know we've covered a lot of ground. One key takeaway is that breakfast is about more than just eating. It's about fueling your body adequately so you have the energy to engage in the activities and relationships that make life meaningful. It's about recognizing that even small nutritional gaps can drain your vitality and stepping in to prevent that. It's about realizing that you don't need an elaborate spread to make a difference. A simple, balanced meal can work wonders. And finally, it's about harnessing the potential for connection, using breakfast as a moment of social bonding or personal reflection that helps you start your day on a positive note. Now is the perfect time to give yourself a little nudge. If you've been listening and thinking, this sounds like it could help, why not start tomorrow? Jot down a short grocery list of easy breakfast items or plan out a very simple meal that you feel comfortable preparing. If you're up for it, share this idea with a friend or family member. You might even inspire them to join you in a renewed breakfast routine. If you're feeling extra motivated, you can also begin planning a weekly breakfast call or a shared meal with someone in your community. Don't wait too long, because every day without steady morning energy can limit your opportunities to live life on your own terms. Still, there's no reason to feel alarmed or pressured. Think of this as an open invitation to try something new that has the potential to give you back a measure of vitality you might have thought was lost to age. I'm living proof that it's never too late to adopt a habit you once dismissed. You're in the driver's seat here. You can choose what kind of breakfast works for your dietary preferences, your schedule, and your personal health considerations. If you have any concerns, especially about medication interactions or specific nutritional limitations, it's always wise to consult a healthcare professional. But don't let fear of complexity hold you back from taking that first step. So often we find that reality is more manageable than our imagined obstacles. I hope you can see now why I stopped skipping breakfast in my 70s and how it's become a cornerstone of sustained energy and emotional well-being. There's a sense of empowerment in knowing you can reshape your day, starting from the moment you wake up. So if you're ready to embrace a small change with potentially big rewards, start planning for tomorrow morning. Your body, mind, and spirit just might thank you in ways you never expected. Thank you for spending this time with me. If you found this helpful, let someone else know. Maybe they'll find a spark of inspiration too. If you're inclined to keep learning, explore more resources about senior nutrition or gentle morning routines. But most importantly, give yourself permission to experiment. Even if you've spent the past decade avoiding breakfast, every new sunrise is a fresh opportunity to nourish yourself. You're more resilient and adaptable than you might realize, and something as humble as a simple morning meal can play a big part in unlocking that resilience. You deserve to feel energetic, capable, and engaged in your own life. And starting your day with a thoughtful, nourishing breakfast is one powerful way to remind yourself of that truth.